In a royal twist so sudden it felt unreal, Buckingham Palace has confirmed a decision with consequences that reach far beyond gossip columns and tabloid covers. According to the Palace Bulletin now circulating through the press office, King Charles has moved to remove Meghan Markle's branch of the family, including Archie and Lilibet, from the royal line of succession. And if this stands, it isn't a symbolic slap or a quiet adjustment behind the scenes. It's the kind of move that redraws the map of the monarchy itself. It forces one unavoidable question: what could push a reigning monarch to take a step this drastic, and why now? And perhaps even more unsettling, why has the palace kept its reasoning sealed until today? Why the delay, the silence, the controlled release, as if they were bracing for impact? Before we go deeper into what this could mean for the future of the crown and for the family caught in the blast, make sure to subscribe so you don't miss any updates. Because when the monarchy shifts, it never shifts quietly. When the official statement finally landed, it didn't arrive with flourish or explanation. It was brief, clinical, almost cold. But beneath that sterile language was something thunderous. A single paragraph confirmed what many royal watchers never expected to hear in plain terms: that King Charles had signed a decree removing the Sussex children, Archie Harrison and Lilibet Diana, from the official line of succession. No dramatic naming, no emotional framing, just formal language that doesn't ask permission and doesn't invite debate. And even if some wording avoided direct confrontation, there was no real ambiguity. The world knew exactly who this was aimed at, and exactly what it implied. Inside palace corridors, the move was reportedly described as a constitutional recalibration, a phrase with no clear modern precedent, yet heavy with the weight of royal tradition. It sounded like legal housekeeping, but it read like something else entirely: self-preservation. For years, the institution has been rocked by interviews, public disputes, leaked accounts, controversial memoirs, and the slow erosion of the royal never complain, never explain shield. And sources close to the crown suggest that behind closed doors, the pressure had been building until it finally reached a boiling point. Now Charles has acted, not as a father trying to steady his family, but as a monarch trying to protect the machinery of the crown. The reaction was instant. Headlines erupted. Social feeds caught fire. Commentators clashed over whether it was lawful, ethical, or even possible. Monarchists called it long overdue. Critics called it cruel. Analysts debated precedent. But across every side of the argument, one emotion kept repeating itself like a drumbeat: shock. What made it feel even more jarring was the claim, echoed by insiders, that neither Meghan nor Harry received any meaningful warning. No diplomatic hint, no quiet conversation, no discreet outreach from an aide, not even the usual soft leak to prepare the public. It was as if the ground was cut out from under them without a single warning bell. One moment, their children held recognized places connected to the House of Windsor. The next, they were allegedly erased by the stroke of a pen. For Meghan, those close to the couple described the moment as deeply personal, less like politics and more like betrayal. She had long suspected the institution could retaliate, but she never expected it to land on the one place she believed should have been untouchable: her children. For Harry, the conflict cut even deeper. He walked away from royal duties, not royal blood. He separated himself from the role, not from the family identity he was born into. And to see his own father take action that appeared to cut his children out of royal destiny sent him, reportedly, into a stunned silence. As news outlets scrambled to interpret the meaning of the move, constitutional experts were caught off guard too. Some argued that altering succession would require parliamentary involvement or a clear constitutional pathway. Others countered that royal power often operates through tradition, symbolism, and mechanisms the public doesn't fully see, and that the system tends to align once the monarch signals a direction. Whatever the legal gray areas, the message felt clear. The monarchy had drawn a public line. In the hours that followed, palace staff were reportedly seen working late, updating documentation, amending public-facing references, and preparing protocol responses for backlash. Inside the walls, observers described an eerie calm. The kind of calm that doesn't mean peace, only preparation. And this wasn't framed as a single moment of power. It was, in effect, a declaration that echoed through the old stone bones of Windsor and Sandringham. Not everyone with royal blood would be allowed to claim a royal future. Yet according to the narrative circulating around the palace, this decision did not come from a sudden impulse, one argument, or one headline. It was said to be the result of something darker, deeper, something that had been developing quietly behind palace walls for months. Reports suggest that weeks before the announcement, palace security and legal advisors gathered behind closed doors, and what began as a private discussion escalated into a full-blown crisis summit. There were whispers of sealed documents, unapproved affiliations, and the fear that the crown's neutrality, its most valuable asset, was being placed at risk. Inside Clarence House, sources describe the tone as somber and urgent. This was not a routine strategy session. It was a response to something labeled serious enough to reach the highest internal security concern. A red folder marked confidential proximity for commercial and political influence. The accusation was that certain ventures were being quietly legitimized by implied royal association, used to smooth access, elevate credibility, and strengthen influence in places the monarchy could never openly endorse. If even partially true, it becomes more than scandal. It becomes a threat to the monarchy's foundational promise of neutrality, because the moment a crown is seen as something that can be used, sold for influence, traded for access, exploited for branding, it stops being a symbol above politics and starts becoming a player inside politics. And that is where monarchies begin to crack. The implications described by insiders were staggering. Concerns were allegedly raised through diplomatic channels. Discreet warnings, quiet pressure, mounting unease not only inside Britain but abroad. In emergency meetings, advisors reportedly clashed. Some urged restraint, fearing public backlash and the optics of punishing children for adult behavior. Others insisted that hesitation would look like weakness, and that weakness in monarchy invites opportunists. Charles, caught between fatherly instinct and monarchical duty, was described as silent for much of the deliberation. But according to sources, two voices held their ground, Princess Anne and Prince William. Anne, known for blunt tradition and institutional discipline, allegedly warned that if royal association was being manipulated for gain, the family had to act decisively and permanently. William, speaking not just as a son but as the future king, reportedly agreed, believing that allowing this to fester could threaten the institution his own children are meant to inherit. Reports also claim that Queen Camilla was absent from key discussions, an absence that raised eyebrows and fueled speculation. Some suggest it was intentional, because this was framed as a bloodline and succession matter, and Charles wanted no emotional interference, no competing influence, no distractions. Only the burden of decision. By the end of the second summit at Windsor, the narrative suggests the decision had crystallized. A formal document was drafted, rare prerogatives were invoked, legal teams were briefed. It was no longer a question of if, but when. And still, according to these accounts, Meghan and Harry remained unaware, thousands of miles away, living a different life, not knowing the palace had already set a process in motion that could permanently alter their children's royal identity. Then, in the version of events now circulating, a single sealed letter changed everything. Delivered through extraordinary discretion, the letter arrived at the Montecito estate early in the morning. Meghan opened it first, and what she read, insiders say, didn't just shock her, it silenced her. Because it wasn't written as a conversation. It wasn't framed as dialogue. It was a notification of something already done, signed, sealed, and entered into royal archives. No gentle openings, no respectful preamble, no hint of sympathy. The language was legal, sharp, stripped of warmth. It stated that Archie and Lilibet Diana Mountbatten Windsor were no longer recognized in the official line of succession, and that the decree had already taken effect. No invitation to appeal. No process for review, no path back. The crown had spoken, And what cut deepest, according to those close to Meghan, wasn't only what it said but how it was delivered. No call, no warning, just sterile finality that effectively erased her children from royal history. She reportedly read it multiple times before handing it to Harry, struggling to find words that could contain what had happened. Harry's reaction was described as immediate and visceral, rage colliding with disbelief. This wasn't the controlled prince the public is used to seeing. This was a father watching his children's identity rewritten without his consent. He demanded an emergency call with his father, but according to the narrative, Clarence House did not answer. Not that hour, not that day. The palace, it seemed, had prepared for the storm and already gone into lockdown, choosing silence as its armor. Then came another blow. Reports suggest it wasn't the palace that leaked details first, but someone within Meghan and Harry's own circle. Within hours, the story flooded the media. Commentators dissected it in real time. Headlines hardened into judgment. Meghan, insiders say, felt not only fury but abandonment, a fear she'd carried for years that the monarchy would never fully accept her or her children, now seemingly carved into official reality. Harry, watching the global swarm, reportedly told a close friend, "This isn't protocol, this is punishment." Not as a prince, but as a father. Yet the story insists this decree didn't come from one argument or one public scandal. It came after months of quiet maneuvering, after a hidden investigation that, if real, reframes the entire moment. According to palace-linked accounts, a discreet inquiry into Meghan's extended network had been underway for months, triggered by legal red flags tied to overseas filings and questionable branding practices. Names appeared in records that raised concern. Whispers came in from international contacts. The pattern, some claim, did not look accidental. It looked coordinated. The investigation, they say, wasn't aimed directly at Meghan, but at those around her who could exploit proximity to royal blood for influence, money, or leverage. What was allegedly uncovered created the argument for urgency. Patterns of promotion tied to royal imagery, lobbying implications in foreign jurisdictions, and communications that appeared to hint at leveraging Archie and Lilibet's names in private negotiations. The children were innocent, but their names carried power, and power can be weaponized. That, according to the narrative, is what hardened Charles. He reportedly stayed up through the night reading the final dossier, shaken not by the volume of claims but by the strategy behind them, the slow erosion of royal sanctity disguised as harmless branding. By sunrise, he had summoned constitutional advisors. Within days, the decree was drafted and signed. He understood the backlash would be brutal. He understood the family would fracture further. But in his mind, the monarchy could not afford to carry any future risk tied to the succession itself. When Harry finally reached his father in a late-night call, the script describes an emotional collapse, begging for a reversal, pleading not for himself but for his children. It wasn't scheduled. It wasn't diplomatic. It was a son calling a father. Harry spoke of dignity, identity, legacy, how such a decision would shape Archie and Lilibet's lives forever. Charles, described as restrained and detached, listened. And when he responded, his tone suggested the decision was already fixed. Within a day, details of the exchange leaked, painting Harry as devastated, pacing, restless, unable to speak for long. For him, this wasn't monarchy strategy. It was the helplessness of being unable to protect his family from the same institution that once protected him. Meghan, watching him unravel, reportedly pushed for action. Legal options, advisors in California and London, any possible route to challenge what had happened. But those close to the process admitted the bitter reality. Once the monarchy acts in sovereign capacity, reversal becomes nearly impossible. Inside the palace, the mood was resolute. Princess Anne and Prince William reportedly stood firm behind Charles. Anne allegedly warned that retreat would undermine the institution. William reportedly agreed, framing it as survival, not sentiment. The palace issued no second statement. Silence became its shield again. The updated succession references remained in place. The decree stood unchanged. Then the pressure shifted. because Meghan's estranged family stepped into the spotlight. Within hours, the script describes a media frenzy as Thomas Markle appeared on television, bitter and emotional, claiming the palace had drawn an invisible line from the start, implying Archie and Lilibet would never be embraced as equal heirs. Samantha Markle followed, escalating the accusations and framing the monarchy as elitist, exclusionary, and toxic. But what truly fueled public chaos was the claim that they possessed messages, emails, letters, communications, proving the palace had been sidelining Meghan's children long before Lilibet was even born. The claims were unverified, but they spread instantly. Hashtags surged. Conspiracy theories multiplied. Tabloids turned implication into certainty. Inside the palace, aides reportedly entered. Full crisis mode, crafting careful language designed to neither confirm nor deny, because every word in royal communication can become history. While her family dominated headlines, Meghan remained publicly silent. No interview, no post, no statement. But insiders claim that behind closed doors she began a comprehensive legal review, consulting experts to explore whether defamation action or formal challenge could be mounted. For her, it wasn't simply revenge. It was legacy. She believed her children's identities were being rewritten in real time, and she refused to let it happen without a fight. And then, according to your script, an unexpected voice broke through. Princess Catherine. Catherine, often portrayed as the unshakable embodiment of royal restraint, allegedly gave an interview that wasn't supposed to happen, aired without full palace endorsement, speaking not about politics but about children born into a legacy they did not choose. She reportedly spoke as a mother first. She made no distinction between children in or out. She stripped away titles and called them what they are, children caught in the crossfire of adult decisions. She spoke of isolation, scrutiny, and the strange loneliness of motherhood inside palace walls, where everything is watched and nothing truly belongs to you. For the first time, she subtly hinted at understanding Meghan's pain. But then she pivoted, gently but unmistakably, aligning herself with Charles's decision. She didn't name Meghan. She didn't name the children. Yet the meaning of her words was clear. The crown, she implied, cannot be divided across continents. Her compassion didn't erase the blow, it sharpened it. She acknowledged the emotional cost while reaffirming the need for boundaries, suggesting that a system built on continuity cannot be pulled in opposite directions by those who have chosen a life outside its walls. Her statement ignited instant debate. Some praised her for offering humanity in a cold moment. Others accused her of balancing empathy with exclusion, but no one could deny the effect. The future queen had spoken in a way the public rarely hears, part tenderness, part discipline. Behind the scenes, whispers claimed William had wanted the interview stopped, not because he disagreed, but because he feared her words would intensify a crisis already burning too hot. Catherine, according to aides, insisted it was time to speak as a woman watching children suffer in silence. And in doing so, she shifted the narrative from politics to identity, what it truly means to belong to the House of Windsor. Finally, your script describes the last escalation. King Charles allegedly invoking an ancient clause to redefine succession itself. In what is presented as an unprecedented modern step, the decree declared that succession would no longer rest on heritage alone, but on demonstrated commitment to the monarchy's principles, loyalty, service, and proximity to the throne. Archie and Lilibet's removal was framed as permanent, with no route for reinstatement, no reconsideration, no future allowance through their line. But what stunned the public even more, according to the script, was the elevation of a lesser-known royal cousin, someone with a modest profile but a reputation built on quiet duty, minimal scandal, and unwavering loyalty. The message was blunt. Those who serve the crown, not those who walk away from it, will shape its future. The shockwaves, as described, rippled through scholars and commentators. Some called it bold modernization. Others warned it shattered precedent, because if blood can be bypassed once, it can be bypassed again. It raised a dangerous question. Does the crown become something you earn through behavior, something you can lose through distance, something no longer purely inherited. In a rare televised address within your narrative, Charles spoke with chilling simplicity, declaring that the crown must endure, even if the family does not. No apology, no explanation, just a monarch placing institution above kin. Across the Atlantic, the Sussex household remained silent, but those close to Meghan described the moment as the final betrayal, because in their view, her children were not only erased but replaced. And the message, whether intended or not, landed brutally. Royal blood means nothing without royal obedience. The monarchy had drawn its red line, rewritten its rules, and shut the door with thunderous finality. Yet the echo of a decision like that doesn't disappear just because the palace says it's done. For some, it looked like the triumph of tradition. For others, it looked like the birth of a machine, cold, disciplined, and willing to sacrifice family to preserve structure. And as the dust settles, one final question remains. Did the monarchy secure its future or ignite the next chapter of its unraveling? Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.